Hey, well, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Collision. Daniel here to talk about the new animated show, Chilla, just released on the new Bentkey streaming platform. I've seen it, so let's talk about it. So Bentkey, kind of the new family entertainment streaming platform that was just launched from Daily Wire, kind of started off with two sort of flagship programs. You can check out, we already reviewed the other one, A Wonderful Day with Mabel McClay, here on the channel. And I found that show to be just a totally delightful, kind of this good, wholesome, classic, kind of children's entertainment. So I was also intrigued to check out sort of the other flagship show from this platform, Chilla, and just sort of see what else this Bentkey has to offer, and maybe to use some baseball terminology, I'd say maybe if Mabel McClay was a home run show, in my opinion, Chilla is probably better thought of as just a well hit single. Maybe you can stretch this into a double. But it is a show that I found consistently good. It is a quality show, although rarely great. Rarely does it sort of elevate to anything beyond just kind of adequate, capable children's entertainment. But I do think overall it does offer, or does deliver what it promises, which is kind of a well-made, wholesome show that parents can trust, and I think especially younger viewers will be able to enjoy. So each of the shows kind of short, 8-minute episodes focus on a very close-knit family of kind of anthropomorphic animals, in this case chinchillas, and kind of tell the creative ways that these highly committed parents kind of go to, the lengths they go to teach their children some creative and important life lessons. And if that sounds vaguely familiar, it's because we probably need to start off by addressing the adorable blue dog in the room. And that is the question of, is Chilla just a knockoff of Bluey, sort of the mega hit, mega popular children's animation show? And having seen just the first 8 episodes of Chilla, I can answer that question with saying, yeah, sort of kind of is. So Chilla is very much, it's very clearly inspired by Bluey. You can tell they're trying to capture some of that same lightning in a bottle. And kind of as a result, at times, Chilla does, it can feel a bit like the but we have Bluey at home meme. It's a cute program, but it just lacks some of the same kind of relatability or emotional depth. Kind of as I watched Chilla, I kind of repeatedly affirmed the messages of the show. I was enjoying these episodes, but kind of unlike Bluey, I never found myself sort of grinning and shaking my head and saying, "Oh man, that's totally my family." There is a bit of a disconnect that compared to a show like Bluey, and I do think it lacks, Chilla lacks some of the heart that just makes Bluey such like an irresistibly delightful show. But hey, granted, Bluey is arguably one of the best children's animation shows, programs in the last decade, so it's no shame for a show to fail to meet that lofty bar. And I do think despite losing that comparison game with Bluey, it's definitely not at the same tier as a show like Bluey. That's not to say that Chilla is not without some of its own charms, because I think originality is often, in my opinion, a very overrated quality, at least when it comes to children entertainment. I think particularly in our culture today, where it just seems like so much of the shows and programs aimed at children are just a total minefield of problematic content that parents need to navigate and guide their children kind of through unscathed. I think a lot of parents, they're not looking for necessarily super fresh and innovative and artistic greatness. Hey, they're just looking for a program that can entertain their kids, kind of divert their kids, and provide some sort of wholesome messaging that they don't have to go unteach later. And kind of held to that standard, Chilla passes that test with flying colors. Because in one sense, a lot of the same characteristics that make a show like Bluey so great are also present in Chilla. I found that the animation charming, the characters are likable, there are the same kind of similar, relatable life lessons and helping kids kind of overcome and learn to navigate their circumstances. I do think, although a lot of the animation doesn't necessarily pop as far as just sort of being real fresh or innovative, there are flashes where where the show kind of explores or experiments with a bit more of a creative approach. Like there's a episode that focus on the Frankenstein story, and for part of that episode it's all in black and white, and so they do play around. It definitely shows potential that they have more to offer than at least what I've seen in these early episodes. And I would say too, despite being a show that is largely kind of imitative of shows like Bluey, this show does have some of its own kind of unique tricks up its sleeve. It does address some of the same sort of, classic real life lessons, like, how to share and not to tattle on your siblings. But there is sort of a more unique kind of educational focus in this show. For example, I really enjoyed that several of these episodes take inspiration from classic literature, such as like Moby Dick and The Three Musketeers and Frankenstein. And these episodes function a lot like Wishbone, which is another great classic kind of children's show from back in the day, where it explores sort of the basic plot elements of the story and then distills its kind of general themes in a way that is applicable to children. And kind of in a similar way, there's also several episodes that focus on like historical events, or there's an episode on like George Washington, and there's an episode on the moon landing, and an episode on like the Roman Empire, because you got to start those young boys off early about thinking about the Roman Empire. So I did enjoy some of the diversity of the focuses in this show. As far as content to consider, kind of things going on the surface of this is going to be a short segment, thankfully, because there's nothing. There's no language, there's no sexuality, and there's no violence in this show. This isn't a show that you have to worry about the content, which you would hope for a show aimed at kids this young. Although I also would say, too, one of the concerns that I know I've had and I've heard other people have for an entertainment platform that is launched from a primarily political media group is just whether that politics will also find its way into these shows. And I can also say that this show is very apolitical. It doesn't go left or right. It does seem to hold to, kind of show some restraint and just focus on entertaining kids without trying to push whatever kind of messages. So, hey, as a parent, I was also thankful for that. As far as things kind of going on beneath the surface of this, again, these shows, because of the age demographic, there doesn't always tend to be a whole lot, and also because it's an entire season where each episode focuses on different themes, sometimes this is a hard thing to break down for an entire show. But I think kind of one of the general kind of overarching themes, at least from about the first half of this season that I watched, is that there is always an opportunity to learn. There is sort of this repeated emphasis on being intentional about kind of seeking out knowledge and learning. I think with a show like Bluey, a lot of the teachable moments seem to they kind of arise like in the middle of unfolding circumstances, and there's a fight between siblings and the parents have to teach them, or there's disappointment at school, or they're suffering with jealousy and the parents got to teach. And again, those are that's such a great show. They do a great job with that. Kind of slightly different with Chilla is that there's sort of more of a focus on like seeking out wisdom, seeking out kind of answers for our problems beyond just the immediate circumstances. And it does that in a bunch of different ways. Like I already mentioned, looking to classic literature and looking to science and looking to history and kind of how we can learn from all these different fields and kind of areas of knowledge, and then apply that in a way that is applicable for a very young kid. And I did appreciate that aspect of the show because I think it does have the the potential not only to address sort of basic family life issues and conflicts, but I think it also has the potential to maybe spark some interest for children in areas like books and reading and science and history. So that is one area that I think kind of sets this show a bit apart. So in the end, I think Chilla is a good show. I don't think it's a great show, but it's definitely a good quality show. I think it's a worthy entertainment option that parents can feel safe about showing their children. I think their children will also enjoy. Obviously, I think it's going to be hard for some people to accept this as anything more than like Bluey light, but even a watered-down Bluey is still probably preferable to a lot of the filth and trash that is currently populating other more traditional platforms like Disney Plus and some of the other ones. So Chilla is really just this inoffensive, wholesome entertainment, and maybe that's all that this show really needed to be. But hey, would love to hear your thoughts. If you watch the show, if you watch it with your kids, would love to hear if they enjoyed it, if they got engaged with it. if you were able to get by the fact that it's so clearly sort of imitating a lot of the Bluey things, or if you could just accept this show for what it was. And hey, even more than that, if you've been exploring sort of the Bentkey streaming platform and some of the other shows that are there, we'd love to just hear your initial thoughts as a parent, as a viewer, whether you've been enjoying this, whether you're hopeful for what the show has to offer, or whether you have noticed any concerns that I haven't quite stumbled across yet. So jump in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about that. And if you haven't done so, I encourage you guys to subscribe to our channel, become a Collider. We got a lot of movie reviews and live streams and other fun stuff. Would love to have you be a part of that. But most of all, guys, thank you for watching. Stay safe and continue to collide through World for Christ.